I got my bonus was a Friday. Saturday, I little bit chilled out, and Monday morning I went paid my home loan, and after one half an hour I quit at Bank of America D-Mart IPO. Yeah, so I led that IPO end to end. I was part of transactions like IPOs like Nykaa, Zomato, Delhivery. I was part of the boat IPO, MCure IPO. After some point of time, you are doing the same thing again and again. The advancement is happening in my bank account, that is fine, but the advancement is not happening to me as a person beyond a point. Money is not something personal. Growth is something that is much more, and that's why I was very clear that let's move on. There are two set of people. The way it gets sold. One is the top 1% of India, which gets the best advice from the best of the quality people. Then there are balanced, whatever, 99%, but they are being sold the worst products that is possible. What my mission is, that to give the best quality advice to the customers, uh, even having, let's say, 50,000 rupees or 50 crore rupees, I don't care. My focus is to give out the best possible advice. After
Welcome to Chasing Impact, six sectors that are shaping the next decade and people building it. I'm Shreyas, and this is episode 2 of Chasing Impact. My next guest has been on the tables to conduct some of the largest financial transactions of India, be it at Bank of America, Kotak, or SBI Capital Markets. And then he was CFO at one of the largest fintech unicorns in the country. He left all that to build a solution that helps India plan its finances better. Harsh, Soni, welcome to Chasing Impact. Thank you so much for taking out your time on a Sunday morning and doing this for us.
Shreyas, thank you so much for having me. Lovely to be here.
It's a pleasure having you here, Harsh, once again, and thank you so much. Uh, you have been, you have spent almost 1.5 decade of your career building and structuring some of the largest financial transactions in India, and it has been an incredible journey from what you've told me. And we've all heard about what you've done at Slice in terms of managing the entire finance piece over there and transitioning it to, handling the entire acquisition of the bank as well, right? So we would love to hear from you about the entire journey that you've been through and, what your career has been like.
Perfect. No, Shreyas, thank you so much. So let me go little bit back in the history and
Bilkul.
just try to see where I came from. So I was a young boy, age 19 in Bhopal. I completed my BCom. I had genuinely no idea about what is market. Coming
Hmm.
from a tier two city, the biggest problem at that point of time was no information. So I used to like a girl, and just because I always used to think that she will get married fast. So
Hmm.
I got into an MBA college, Narsing Munji in Bombay, and I decided that let me go and do the MBA. So I joined the MBA at age of 19 and a half. From there,
Hmm.
completed the MBA in 2009. And At that point of time, I had read a book, Den of Thieves by James Stewart. It's
Hmm.
about, the investment banking of 1980s, how glamorous it was. So I always decided that I want to get into investment banking. Thought was very clear.
Hmm.
And Fortunately, unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, 2009 was the year for all the investment banks. Lehman had
True.
crashed and everything has, I don't know, went down the drains at that point of time. I was actually lucky to get a job at IDBI Bank in
Hmm.
Indore as a commercial banker.
Oh, wow.
So did that for about 5 6 months. Was very clear that I want to get into investment banking, and
Hmm.
obviously very difficult. There were no investment banks were hiring at that point.
Right.
But Just got into SBI caps in 2010, starting of 2010, I think, and
Hmm.
then started to build it on that. So, did a lot of learning at SBI Caps, and SBI Caps is a very unique place. It's a public sector investment bank, oldest investment bank. and it's one of the very unique place. You have a support of the largest bank of India, and
True.
but it's very different. So we built at the practice. SBI Caps has its own ups and downs, depending upon who's at the helm. And
Mm-hmm.
At that point of time, we were building the practice. Quite interesting time. I think worked on some of the biggest transactions for Tata Group, for Power Grid, a lot of disinvestment
Oh, wow.
transactions. And because at that point of time, disinvestments used to be a very big thing. Government
Right.
of India was selling stakes in multiple transactions. So did that, moved here and there, and then finally landed at Kotak Investment Banking. Kotak, I think, one of the greatest places
Mm-hmm.
to work. It's the leading investment bank in India. I
Yes.
think the number of transactions that I would have done in my career, and the number of things that I would have worked, it's like great experience. One of the biggest transactions and biggest IPOs, which had the, I think had gotten the best of the response of my career, was D-Mart.
Mm-hmm.
D-Mart IPO.
Oh,
Yeah, so I led that IPO end
so
to
you
end.
led the entire D-Mart IPO at that time.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So,
Amazing.
yeah, that was one of the most interesting transactions of my career.
I'm sure.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I'll tell about the D-Mart IPO is that I met the management team, Neville and Ramakanji, who's the CEO and CFO. And on the day one, we decided that the price is going to be 299 IPO price,
Mm-hmm.
and 299. That's the price. We went, did the road shows and everything, and we were getting much higher valuation from investors.
Mm-hmm.
Investors was ready to come at 400 rupees and so on and so forth. And I told Neville and Ramakanji that let's increase the price. They were like, no, this is demand price 299. That is what the IPO price is going to be. So that's one of the greatest learnings in terms of when the companies chase, valuations. They were very value conscious. And if you
Mm-hmm.
look at it from 299, I think the price has gone to somewhere 4,500, 5,000 rupees today.
Right.
So
Right.
the amount of wealth creation that the company has done overall, very interesting, and the amount of wealth creation that they have done for the employees is extremely interesting. So
True.
again, this is one of my favorite transactions of all times. Moved
Mm-hmm.
on from Kotak, joined Bank of America. I think Bank of America for me was the real Wall Street world of investment
Mm-hmm.
banking. A lot of work and a lot of money also at that point of time. Like I don't know how, but it was great amount of money. Then
Mm-hmm.
COVID started. We used to work from home 17, 18 hours a day, managing,
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know, yeah,
Crazy.
17 transactions at that point of time. After COVID, there was a whole,
Mm-hmm.
lot of transactions that were happening. I don't know. I was actually heading the corporate finance practice at Bank of America. So every
Mm-hmm.
IPO and every capital market transaction is something that I used to lead from an execution perspective. And I was also doing a little bit of coverage for industrial. So I think a lot of things that I was doing at that point of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember that, 18 and 19 hours was my average working, hours.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and that is
Per
like,
day.
per day, and
So
including
सोते कब थे
Saturdays and
and
Sundays.
what
Ha,
about
it was,
everything else?
yeah, it was a very crazy time. Like
Yeah, I'm sure.
2021 was the crazy time. And
Right.
2022, the amount of bonuses that we got, I think that is one of the most highest bonuses investment banking would have doled out in,
We to be in
decades.
investment banking. I mean, yeah,
Yeah. So I
crazy,
got my
crazy.
bonus. I
Hmm.
got my bonus in 2022, 25th of February. It was a Friday. Saturday,
Hmm.
Sunday, I little bit chilled out, and Monday morning I went, paid my home loan, and
Hmm.
quit. After one half an hour, I quit
Just
investment
like that.
banking.
Wow.
हाँ मतलब I was like very clear कि यार अब this is not a life, because your point is
Hmm.
I had become like a deal junkie, deal after
Right.
deal after deal after deal, and what I'm doing is just for the heck of money, and it was super interesting also, no doubt about it.
Hmm.
At Bank of America, I was part of transactions like IPOs like Nykaa, Zomato, Delhivery,
Oh,
very
wow.
fun transactions, yeah, very very good transactions,
Hmm.
and seen some of these things very very closely.
Hmm.
I was part of the boat IPO. MCure
Oh,
IPO. I don't know, matlab, like lot of things I did.
all the
But
some of
yeah,
the biggest names in the industry,
yeah,
from
yeah.
I mean that have graduated from startups to IPO in the recent
Correct, correct,
times.
correct. Yeah. The
Wow.
last transaction I did was last IPO that was my of my career was LIC, I think. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, so moved on from there and then decided that let's do something differently. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Took a 60% pay cut in life and
Oh.
then decided let's move. Moved from Bombay, lock, stock and barrel, and joined Slice.
Mm-hmm.
I joined as a head of strategy and then moved on to take over as the CFO. And so quite an like very, I'll say, out of the blue transition that I did.
Completely
Uh,
different.
हाँ काफी डिफरेंट था बट क्वाइट फन मतलब मुझे लगता है कि रिस्क लेने में काफी अच्छा लगा आई थिंक व्हेन आई जॉइंड स्लाइस आई जॉइंड एट द हेडेज लाइक May
Mm-hmm.
2022 and the
Right.
regulation changed, the regulatory everything changed in of June of 2022, and I
Yes.
think very very I'd say tough times also because I moved my family from Bombay to Bangalore. We had an ecosystem in Bombay, but
Yeah.
yeah, matlab, things worked out. I along with the founder Rajal of Slice,
Mm-hmm.
we went and did the merger of. This is one of the most unique transactions of the fintech world, where overall fintech was merged in a bank, and then bank was made as the fintech, like a
Yeah.
fintech-led bank. It was one of the most interesting and the unique transactions of all times.
Probably the
So
first one.
I
Yeah.
first one actually. No one has been able to do a reverse merger of into a bank, and
Mm-hmm.
and obviously in when you are actually trying to merge in a bank, it's very difficult overall because the banking regulations have lot of shareholding restrictions. No one can hold more than 10%, and there are
Mm-hmm.
issues of holding company and so on and so forth. So, but
Correct.
we were managed to get everything done. It took about 2.5 years, and very interesting times. And from there, I decided that great. I've done investment banking, then I have done fintech as a go. But
Mm-hmm.
something that was very close to my heart was is that the way Indians were getting sold any financial product, be it investments, be it mutual funds. There are two set of people, the way, it gets sold. One is the top
Mm-hmm.
1% of India, which gets the best advice from the best of the quality people. And
Right.
that's the way it happened. And then there are balance, whatever, 99% who needs
Mm-hmm.
these financial products the most, be it saving for their kids, be it saving for their retirement, or be it buying a right insurance. But they are being sold the worst products that is possible,
True.
uh, be it through the army of RMs from of banks and so on and so forth. I think so. That is what I always used to feel that it should not be the case. Why can't
Mm-hmm.
everyone gets that quality advice, uh, uh, depending upon the way the person is, their goals are, and why can't everyone get the quality advice and they buy the best products that is possible? So
Right.
that's what I'm trying to build at NYVO, and that's what my mission is. That to give the best quality advice to the customers, even having let's say 50,000 rupees or 50 crore rupees, I don't care. My focus is to give out the best possible advice.
Perfect. No, I think this is super interesting, and your journey is really inspiring as well as kind of it had me awestruck at moments, right? And I have a few quick questions if you don't mind on that.
Yeah,
One,
please.
I'd probably love to start with the fact that what made you switch from an investment banking career to getting into a startup, right? And that too also with a 60% pay cut. मतलब any sane person with and I mean absolutely no disrespect, but any sane person who is thinking in terms of career progression would be like कि यार पैसा बन रहा है यहाँ पे 60% पे कट लेके दूसरे शहर में जाना and zero से वापस you're starting in a completely new direction is wild.
Yeah.
Tell
No,
us about it. What went through your mind? What was it all about?
so yeah, investment banking is a very high adrenaline sort of a work.
Hmm.
There is ups and downs where
Right.
there is like a when a market is running and everyone wants to do fundraise, everyone wants to do an M&A, and
Hmm.
then as bankers we tend to work a lot, and what
Right.
happens is we get into a cycle of doing the same thing again and again. Obviously, the
Hmm.
company changes. You are trying to understand a new company, so all those things are very interesting. But
Right.
what happens finally is that after some point of time, you are doing the same thing again and again. It becomes a
True.
process in our head, and at least that's what made it became for me.
Hmm.
And some of my closest friends are still investment bankers. Uh, but
Hmm.
uh, but what personally did it to me is that I started to feel that I'm not learning something new.
Right.
The advancement is happening in my bank account, that is fine, but the
Hmm.
advancement is not happening to me as a person.
Hmm.
I was not sure that I can become a better person, better leader, just being in investment banking. And
Makes sense.
that's what was a very, very personal sort of a calling for me, that I need to move out from investment banking altogether. I didn't care about that much about of money, and like ठीक है, मतलब, uh, over a period of investment banking, my career and everything, I had made this much that I was financially free. So
Right.
I just thought कि यार, it's ठीक है, मतलब beyond the point, money is not
Hmm.
something personal. Growth is something that is much more, and that's why I was very
Right.
clear that let's move out.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And then you were with Slice for almost 4 years. You led probably one of the most unique merger experiences in fintech, as you said, with the bank. What was that like? And after doing that, you also switched out from, moved out from Slice into starting something of your own. So again, I think obviously this seems like the same direction key. This helps you grow as a person and want to pursue something that you are really passionate about. But how do you? So okay, I think let me break it down. First is
Hmm.
let's talk about the switch into Slice, right? And handling one of the probably one of the unique mergers in terms of fintech into a bank wala piece. So tell us a bit about that experience. How
Yeah.
was it?
So I'll tell you first a very funny thing. So when
Mm-hmm.
I moved from investment banking, we were people who were like 9 o'clock in office or probably 8:30 in office, working
Mm-hmm.
late, working like, super that this needs to be done today, working with a timeline. I moved from Bombay to Bangalore. I think this was the biggest cultural shock was like I used to reach to office, let's say by 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
For 2 hours, I'll be alone. Then I started reaching to 10 o'clock. Still 2 hours, I was alone. So I found a very different sort of a culture. People are very, I think everyone is working very hard.
Yes.
But obviously the culture, there is a big cultural difference of,
True.
between Bombay and Bangalore. So this is actually very, very interesting learning for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then coming to Slice as an experience, I think one of the most enriching experience in terms of how and what all they did. So I
Mm-hmm.
started with a team of 3 members, then
Mm-hmm.
took over the team to manage about 50 to 60 member team, the full finance.
Mm-hmm.
From end to end, from which included accounting, audit, GST, tax, and the other aspects of finance, of FinOps, and so on and so forth. It was a very big operations,
Right.
as Slice not being a bank, but still we used to do a disbursements of about 1,000 crore rupees a month,
Mm-hmm.
plus UPI business and other businesses. It was quite a big operations that way. So the way I started to learn is that as a banker, no, I had a very first principle approach of everything.
Mm-hmm.
That if it's a problem, let's just go to the basics and try to understand why this problem exists.
Right.
So that's the same principle I applied everywhere. I had no idea about taxes. I had no idea about GST. Obviously, basic ideas were there, but still I
Mm-hmm.
learned every time in Slice. Try to. There were specialists obviously in the teams. Try to learn from them. Try to learn outside also. One
Mm-hmm.
thing I personally realized in this experience is if a person knows overall as a mental as a mental at a mental bandwidth that there is a problem that needs to be solved, and
Hmm.
there are these are the 5 ways. I think anyone, if people are able to do this mentally, then everyone can do everything in my view.
Right.
ठीक है, मतलब, the point I'm trying to make is I
Hmm.
had no experience of being a CFO, but I think I did a decent job while being at Slice, be the CFO,
Hmm.
and also leading the overall merger transaction, also from converting it into from a fintech to a bank. I think it was one of the most complicated transactions, which involved, I think, 6 levels of approvals at different
Hmm.
places. So managing that, obviously, it took about 2.5 years overall, but
Right.
yeah, it was great experience.
No, amazing, amazing, and thank you so much for sharing that experience with us. In terms of kind of leaving your job and getting into entrepreneurship completely, right? A lot of people today, even some in our audiences, are probably at a stage wherein they are thinking कि खुद का अगर मुझे startup शुरू करना है, how do I do it? How do I take the leap of faith from my own corporate career, quit it, and get into this? So, what would be, let's say, your 3 takeaways for them in terms of from your own journey of switching from a career into a entrepreneurship?
So, So, before I go into the 3 takeaways, one thing that always comes in our head is that month-end message of
Hmm.
salary credited is a drug. X salary
True.
is credited to your account. It's a drug. Okay. And the biggest problem always people and including me have always been that I want to leave this altogether, and that safety and security is something that I want to give it out or not, or just leave that. I think if people, in my view, it's my personal view, if someone wants to do really the bigger problem, and the vision is something very clear, then the only suggestion and the guidance that I have is just move away from that drug of salary credited. But before, obviously, you
Makes
move
sense.
away, do 2 3 things which is very important. One, family and family finances has to be sorted. uh, that's I think the most primary thing, because
Hmm.
if at the background the family is not comfortable, then you will never be able to you know build that bigger company or bigger vision.
True.
So people who are married or have parents, I think that is something they should take care first. And post that those family finances is sorted now, I think anyone and everyone in India can can build out and can move out of the job. That's what at least I look at it on a simplistic manner.
Makes sense. Makes sense. No, I think this is perfect, Harsh, and thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. It has been really interesting to hear about your entire career, starting from investment banking into startup and then building something of your own. I'm sure a lot of people in the are going to find this really inspiring and will probably look up to your advice to get into entrepreneurship. Having said that, I think this calls for an end to the part one of the episode, which is the founder story, and we'll shortly transition into the part two, which is called the Dhande Ki Baat.
Perfect.